everyone, welcome to today's tutorial. So in this tutorial we're going to discuss how we can solve a quadratic trigonometrical equation. So there are actually two ways in which you can solve such equations. Okay, so let's quickly move on to solving. Alright, first, if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, make sure that you click on the subscription button, and if you have any questions or you need help in math, physics or chemistry, feel free to contact me on any of these lines on the screen, and don't forget to click the notification button for for you to be up to date with the videos that I'm going to be posting on the channel. Alright, so let's quickly move on. Okay, so this question says solve the equation. So this is the equation that we've been given, and then for which x is such that 0 is less or equal to x, which is less or equal to 2 pi. So meaning this domain is simply just ranging from 0 up to 2 pi. Alright, so 2 pi is simply just the same as 360, because pi is equal to 180 in degrees. Alright, so let's solve this equation. Okay, so we are going to solve it in the normal way we solve quadratic equations. So the first thing that we need to find is the product. So the product of this equation, okay, let me just copy it here. So we have 8 cos x plus 2 cos x minus 1 is equal to 0. So the product of this equation is found by multiplying the coefficient of the of x squared if it's in the quadratic equation, if it's in the quadratic equation with a variable x. So the coefficient of cos x squared is 8. We're multiplying it with -1, hence we're getting -8. And then the sum is simply just the coefficient of cos x here, which is just 2. So the factors that we're going to use here are simply just going to be we find two numbers such that if we multiply them, they will give us -8. If we add them, they'll give us 2. So these numbers are simply just -2 and 4. When you multiply -2 and 4, you get -8. When you when you add -2 and 4, you're getting +2. So we plug them into the equation. So we have 8 cos squared x, and then we have -2 cos x, then we have +4 cos x, and we have -1 is equal to 0. Then here we can now factorize. So what is common here is simply so the common part here that we have here is 2 and cos x between these first two terms. So we have 2 cos x. 2 cos x is common, open brackets, 2 cos x into 8 cos squared x. We're getting 4 cos x, and 2 cos x into -2 cos x is equal to this will simply give us -1. And then we do the same here. So what is common between 4 cos x and -1 is simply just +1, and then we open brackets, we have 4 cos x there, then -1 is equal to 0. So whatever you find here should be equal to what is there. Once you find that they are different, then know that you've made a mistake somewhere. Alright, so we can factorize this. So we have 4 cos x minus 1 in brackets, and we also have 2 cos x plus 1, then this will be equal to 0. So we can equate each of these two factors to 0. So when we equate 4 cos x minus 1 to 0, you're going to get cos x as 1/4. And then if you equate 2 cos x plus 1 to 0, you are going to get cos x being equal to 1/2, -1/2. So to find the value of x, you simply take the cos inverse of what you have this side. Same applies to this part. So of course we have to take into consideration the quadrants, but looking at this, looking at what we have here, which is 1 over 4, if we say x is equal to cos inverse of 1 over 4, this one, if you don't have a calculator, you can't solve it. So if calculators are not allowed in your exam, this one you can just leave it here. It doesn't give out a special angle, so we can only deal with this second part. So for this one, I'm going to say let cos alpha be equal to, cos phi be equal to the positive angle, which is this one. I'm trying to find the reference angle in this case. So to find phi, I'm going to have phi is equal to cos inverse of half. So cos inverse of half is simply just 60 degrees. So 60 degrees, you can convert it to radians. Okay, let me just write it on top. So we're saying our phi is equal to 60 degrees, and 60 degrees to radians, it means that you are just multiplying it by pi and then divided by 180, which will give you something like this is 1 there 3, so this will be 1 over 3 pi. So this is not the final answer, this is just a reference. This is just a reference angle. Okay, this is just a reference angle. Alright, so this is just a reference angle. So now let us take into consideration the quadrants. So when you look at our cos here, initially it was negative. This was negative half, meaning cos is only negative in the the quadrants are like this. The first quadrant, we have all trig ratios positive. In the second quadrant, only sine is positive. In the third quadrant, only tan is positive, and in the fourth quadrant, only cos is positive. So cos is negative in the second and third quadrant. So we know to say therefore phi lies in the second and third quadrants. So it lies in the second and third quadrant. And then in the second quadrant, we say x is equal to 180 degrees minus 180 degrees minus the reference angle. So the reference angle, in this case actually we're using radians, so we don't use 180. 180 is equivalent to pi in radians. So we say in the second quadrant, x is equal to pi minus 1 over 3 pi, which is just the reference angle, 1 over 3 pi. So the value of x here will be 3 pi minus 1, that will give us 2 pi over 2. So this is the first angle that we have. And then the second angle is going to be taken from the third quadrant. So from the third quadrant, the value of x is going to be equal to, so in the third quadrant we know to say we add 180 to the reference angle, and our reference angle is 1 over 3 pi, and 180 is equivalent to pi, so we say pi plus 1 over 3 pi. So when you add this, you're getting 4 over 3 pi. So of course these are supposed to be in radians. So these are the angles that were needed for us to find here. So the other thing that you need to check is what we've been given here, the domain. So if you in case you find any angle that is out of this domain, it's not between 0 and 2 pi, or it's out of the domain that you've been given on that particular question, what you just need to do is to disqualify that angle and only list the angles that are between 0 and 2 pi. So the final answer, you make sure that you only list angles that are in this domain. So we have the first angle that we found was x is equal to, this was supposed to be 2 pi over 3, not 2 pi over 2. So x is equal to 2 pi over 3, and then the other one is 4 over 3 pi. Alright, so this is how you solve this equation. Thank you very much for watching today's tutorial. Make sure that you don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me on any of the lines that you are seeing on the screen right now. And then don't forget to join the Telegram group that is just right in the description of this video. So make sure that you join the Telegram group. My name is Hamted. See you in the next tutorial video. Shalom, shalom.